got my socks fitted. You know how I roll. Homicidal clothes cause I'm dressed to kill. Leave 6 bitches oohing cause I'm worth a mill. Flow is ill, spitting no vomit spill. Killing them softly but I ain't Lauryn Hill. I'm a Beantown boy with a Trigger City mind state. Leaving hoes surprised like they going on a blind date. Had that ass spinning, best believe that booty gyrate. Come fresh to the game so y'all lanes better migrate. Versatile cat so I flow on the South Beat. Spit so hard I fuck around and hurt my teeth. My vision stays clear, why y'all looking cloudy? Yeah I spit fire but misses don't doubt me. Jumping hard on tracks, call me steroided rabbit. Consistently murder beats like a serial killer's habit. Sharpest flows, so I took the game and stabbed it. Copy my style, but it's too hot for you to grab. I got my shoes high, and my jeans low. I got my socks fitted, you know how I roll. This is how we roll. I got my shoes high, and my jeans low. I got my socks fitted, you know how I roll.
Wallet. As I take another pull from my Cohiba, overlooking green fields full of reefer. My suit stay let it soul on my cufflinks, similar to Jay-Z and Puffy. I ain't saying that I wanna be like them. I'm getting fat stacks while your paper so thin. Look within the eyes of a hustler. I need me a mansion so I can buy a butler. This is the classics and put me in the classified. I mix a fire so she suck me like a pacifier. Old school Chevrolet, riding up the interstate. Bitches give me crazy love, niggas want a hard hit. Pussy niggas try me and you gon' get a scar face. Ain't no way I'm getting caught, that's gon' be a hard case. That baby girl, my 38, my trigger finger on the cake. Shoot you niggas in the face, you gon' see the pretty
I got my shoes high, and my jeans low. I got my socks fitted, you know how I roll.
This is how we roll.
I got my shoes high, and my jeans low. I got my socks fitted, you know how I roll. Since a youngin', I knew I had the flow to succeed. Always kept my nose high, like trying to stop the bleed. Kept running, there was nothing in my way to impede. So ahead, it's safe to say there's no one after me. But I'm trying to rise up while you bathroom bitches sink. Hot like I'm in me, my aroma doesn't stink. Kept my eyes wide open while the blind bitches blink. Not one to have regrets, but my mind always thinks. I never gave a fuck at what them lames ever thought of me. Just kept doing what I do, cause that's just how it ought to be. Money on my mind, you can call it moneyology. You getting it out the ass, but I ain't talking side of me. Denver Bronco money, cause it just stays mile high. Whopper junior bitches, I don't beef with small fry. Little fingers on the side, cause you can't be this fly. Tell me to keep my bread up.
So I threw my money in the sky.
What is up, my people? Welcome to another episode of the Townie Sports Podcast. I am one of your two great hosts, Sammy, alongside, as always, my co-host, Vic. Vic, how you doing, bro? Doing great. Ran a 5K this weekend. It was pretty dope. What about you? How was your weekend? We should do like a theme park ranking on one of our episodes that we can bring in. Um, let's check it out. Yeah, I'm on. Hold on, I gotta introduce our guests. Since we're
Right.
speaking
We might have to do a read thing.
Yeah, I'm on.
Yep, you're on now. Testing.
Test. Let's see. Got a little technical difficulty. Sorry, everybody.
I gotta introduce our guests.
Right. All right, we're good. Let's start over again. All right, and I'll do the editing and go.
What is up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Townie Sports Podcast. Had a little bit of technical difficulties, but now we're rolling smoothly now. I am one of your two hosts, Sammy, alongside none other than my co-host, Vic. Vic, how you doing? How was your weekend, bro? No touch on Legoland?
I was just going to say, you got to talk to us about Legoland.
It was over, huh? It's over. You guys had to be there. Obviously, you didn't hear. Legoland is Vic's top 3 theme park, and we're going to do a cross episode with none other than House of Fandom to do a little theme park fandom action. And we have one of the hosts of House of Fandom joining us today, Clark. Clark on the check-in. What's up, Clark? How you doing, bro?
What's up, boys? I appreciate you guys having me today. Excited to talk about sports. A lot has happened over the past week. And I guess, Sammy, it's safe to say that the Boston Red Sox are still good.
That is indeed true. The Red Sox are still good. They're still cooking. 1-1 right now into ALCS against the Houston Astros. We'll get into that in a little bit. But first and foremost, we got to get into, the heartbreaker game that we had to suffer through last night. I'm sure you saw it, Clark. And, of course, Vic, me and you were chatting in our Townie Sports chat. The Patriots lose a freaking tough one in OT to the Cowboys.
Okay, we can't hear our boy here. Yeah, keep going.
All right. Yeah, Vic doesn't even really want to talk about this game much anyway, so I'll cook a little bit on it. The Cowboys defeated the Patriots in overtime, 35-29. Not a lot to say here. There is a lot to say here, a lot to digest in there, but Mac Jones, 15 for 21, 229 yards, 2 touchdowns and a pick. Dak Prescott, 36 for 51, 445 yards, 3 touchdowns and a pick. And then, CeeDee Lamb had a great game, 9 receptions, 149 yards, 2 touchdowns. And then Damian Harris, continues to do it. 18 carries, 101 yards, and a touchdown. A couple of things to touch on. Mac Jones is improving, although some of the passes he was messing up a little bit. He missed some very, very easy few key throws. Some in particular, a quick slant to Myers that he missed on like a crucial third down where they were driving down the field. And then another slant to Bourne, which ended up being the pick 6. So I'm getting news that we got Vic back. Vic, can you speak to see if everybody can hear you now?
Mic check, 1 2 1 2. This is Vic on the mic. What are you gonna do?
Oh, spitting fire. Let me see real quick if we can hear you. There you are. All right, Vic is back, everybody. This is great news. So, Vic, I was going to get into a little more of it. Do you want me to keep going? Or you want to touch on this game real quick?
Oh, you're cooking. Go ahead and make some stromboli. I'll wait here.
Randy Gregory was just eating that offensive line for lunch, as Vic likes to say. 2 sacks, 3 total pressures. The offensive line of the Patriots continues to be absolutely atrocious, banged up, not deep. Keep him muted. Yeah, Mikey says to keep Victor muted, so we'll keep Vic muted for the rest of the show.
Oh, I love what Kyle said. I heard it. I just didn't want to. Well played.
A couple things to touch on. The running backs averaged 5.4 yards per carry. They ran the ball exceptionally well against a pretty decent Cowboys defense. Granted, the Cowboys defense is known more for their secondary and linebacking core, but they did take advantage of that. Didn't really release Mac, and I think that was our biggest complaint. But, to be fair, when you look back on the metrics, Mac Jones' average depth of target was 8.6, and I think that was higher than all past weeks that he's been playing, so that was good. But you can also see that could potentially be because of 2 passes in particular. One Hunter Henry touchdown, and then the Kendrick Bourne touchdown was for 75 yards.
That was more Bourne than Mac, in my opinion. But yeah, no, absolutely. And Sammy, everything you said there, I just want to echo it. Really, the issue with the team right now, I think, is more in the secondary and honestly with the offensive play calling. I think McDaniels, like you said, was a little bit timid. Now, let's not get too ahead of ourselves. The Cowboys, by the way, are still 6 guys. So they did end up covering with that last-minute touchdown by CD. So, look at the Cowboys if you're looking for to make some money. But if you look at the team stats, Sammy, you see that the Cowboys had 39 minutes to the Patriots 26. They outgained the Patriots 567 yards to 335. Realistically, if I showed you these stats, you would say this Team A got blown out by Team B, which Team B being the Cowboys. So really, what killed the Cowboys were themselves. They shot themselves in the foot with penalty yards and dumb mistakes like Dak's fumble at the goal line.
That was a great defensive play too, though. That was a tremendous.
But Sammy, you can't take much from that. I know we want to as Pats fans, but we can't take much from that. I think these are two games, the Cowboys game and the Bucks game, where they've been a lot closer than they've actually looked on paper, if that makes sense. Good on the Pats for hanging in there. They a couple key fourth down possessions where I probably would have pushed a little bit further on both sides of the ball, right? With Greg Zuerlein's missed field goal on the other side, when he missed that I think it was a 54-yard to put the Cowboys ahead. He decided to field goal instead of going for it, even though they were destroying us all day long on the ground. So I'd love to see that. And then on Bill Belichick's side, not going for it on fourth down and overtime. We haven't been able to stop them all day. What makes him think that we're going to be able to stop them here? They were outgaining us all day. They were in the red zone multiple times. The only 2 times that we stopped them in the red zone were turnovers, and they were mistakes on their part. So, in my opinion, coaching needs to get better. And to TK's point, I still have the over for the Pats on 8 wins. I still think this team's good, has talent. I just hope that the offensive coaching catches up with the talent. I go over Pats 8 wins. Over it.
Yeah, I think when you look at the secondary overall, it wasn't necessarily just a secondary; it was just more coverage. Yeah. Dante Hightower struggled in coverage. There were times Juwan Bentley had to go into a coverage when they thought it was a run, and that suffered. J.C. Jackson was awesome again. He had a very, very good game. Honestly, Amari Cooper was held in check for much of the game. It was Jalen Mills. Jalen Mills was the problem. I mean, 82 yards and 2 touchdowns, 2 of them very, very crucial touchdowns. So I think, and then the pressure, there was no pressure. We saw Dak run a little bit, but that's one of the best offensive lines in probably the league. So
probably the best. What pro football is rated as, Sammy? One of the best units in the league, I assume. So
yeah.
I
mean, and to sit here and get mad at this game too, I was thinking about it earlier today. I'm like, this was a game that I came into and I was like, we're going to get demolished. And we were in it up until the fourth quarter and OT. So, I mean, say what you will, unless you're, the Instagram famous Spike King who thinks that the Patriots can beat everybody. And I love his confidence. I follow him. He's a great follow. All of us can't be mad at this game because I bet you most of us, if 90% of us thought this game was going to be a blowout. So
Absolutely.
What do you think, Clark? Did you watch this game at all?
I do have a question for you guys. I think my concern with this rookie, right, am I saying it correctly? Mac Jones is a rookie, right? Yeah. So my concern is he's doing too much. I think that.
I don't mean no.
Well, hear me out for just a moment, because here's what my concern is about Mac Jones. My concern is that he's trying too hard with theatrics, you know what I mean, and it becomes where he makes mistakes. He's making mistakes. So in my opinion, just an observation from the last few games that he's played, I think he is an elite. He can be an elite gamer. Don't get me wrong, but my concern for him is, one, is he durable? You know what I mean? Like, is this kid gonna end up getting knocked out? You know what I mean? Because of injury, right? And also, he strikes me as someone like, what was the one that kicked to the curb? The Cam Newton, who ended up getting. By the way, I'm sure you guys know Cam Newton finally got his jab, so he wants to play now. He got his jab. He said it. He announced it. He wants to play. But I feel like he's running around a lot. And I think that's my main concern for him, Mac Jones. And also, too, it was a very sloppy game on both sides of the end. Both sides.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think to your point, I think he does really well with being efficient with throwing the ball. But I think with his limited play calling, he does try to do a little bit more because he does want to get to that next level. So, I mean, to both of your points, like, it's pretty accurate that the play calling isn't allowing him to do more, and as such, it probably forces him to try and do more with that limited play calling, which causes some of the mistakes. And also, he is running for his life because the offensive line is absolutely trash. But yeah, and also last comment on it, Judon is still worth every penny we paid that man. just still throwing it out there. I'm going to throw that out there probably every week.
No, that's the absolute truth, Sammy. Yep, Judon and. I think Judon's been great. It's the front seven's not the issue; it's the secondary. So, Jalen Mills, we paid him a lot of money for nothing.
I think the linebackers.
And we got rid of Stephon Gilmore for what reason? Probably Bill's ego. That's the shit that pisses me off with Bill, to be honest with you. But let's move on. We got a lot of stuff to cover today. Let's not spend time on this.
Yeah. So we'll get to the other game. I mean, this was a Thursday night game. This game was actually closer than I thought it was going to be. Buccaneers edged the Eagles 28-22. Tom Brady 34 for 42, 297 yards, 2 touchdowns and a pick. Jalen Hurts 12 for 26, 115 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. But he also had 10 carries for 44 yards and 2 touchdowns. Leonard Fournette, Vic, we should probably start him pretty soon. 22 carries, 81 yards, 2 touchdowns, and then 6 receptions for 46 yards. And Antonio Brown was, again, just tremendous. And I wish he was with the Patriots with Tom Brady, last year. Right. That would have been great. Or 2 years ago. 9 receptions, 93 yards, and a touchdown. Vic, what did you think about this Bucs game?
I don't know. I don't really care. It hurts my feelings to talk about this.
Clark?
Listen, I got a lot to say. One, it was a little too close for comfort. But here's the thing with the Bucs. I think what happens with them is that, and this is another concern. They rely so much on Brady to bail them out and to inspire them to win at the end. My concern is that, because let's be honest, they got to Brady a few times and he was knocked on his ass.
Right.
So yeah,
Fletcher Cox.
So I think my concern is that don't get complacent. I think that defense got complacent a few times. The offensive line got complacent, which is why he got his ass, put to the ground. So those are my concerns for Brady. And as far as the Bucs, I still think the Bucs are the team to beat in the division and the Super Bowl. I think that they are going to make it again to the Super Bowl. I know a lot of people think that that's that's an obvious Captain Obvious answer, but I just think that they will be willed to go to the Super Bowl because Brady is just an absolute Terminator. He is not human. As you all know, I'm sure you guys know from the Patriots, he will will this team to back-to-back Super Bowls. That's just my 2 cents.
I say let's not read into this game too much, okay? So look at this game. This is another game, perfect example like the Pats game. So you look here. Let's look at the team stats. We got the Bucs at almost 40 minutes worth of possession compared to the Eagles 20 minutes worth of possession. That's double the possession. And if you look at the offensive stats, you look at the offensive yards here. I got 400 yards for the Bucs, 200 for the Eagles, doubling their stats. It comes down to penalties and discipline. If you look at the penalty yardage given up by the Bucs, 120 yards to the Eagles 40. These teams are not disciplined. And the Buccaneers especially. This is not what Brady's used to dealing with, Typically, he's used to well-coached teams that have discipline. This Bucs team does not. They end up causing them, hurting themselves more. Like you said, Clark, having to come back from deficits because of penalty yards. They shoot themselves in the foot. It's not the other team. It's not anybody else. It's the Buccaneers that do their own damage. Has nothing to do with the Eagles. I'm not worried. Like Clark said, I'm not worried one bit. This team's still, in contention to win a Super Bowl, but they have to clean up their act on the penalty yards. That's same thing as the Cowboys. I like Cowboys, Bucs, possible matchup. There's going to be a lot of great matchups, Sammy, if you think about it, in the NFC. So at least we're going to at least get Bucs, Cowboys at one point, right? Or we're going to at least get Rams, Bucs rematch at one point. I mean, the NFC is just loaded.
Yeah, and I think just to touch on what the Eagles did here, I mean, this was a situation like you had just mentioned where the Bucs were shooting themselves in the foot and the Eagles couldn't really capitalize. I mean, they did to an extent where they, brought it within a lot closer than what they actually should have been. But, I mean, that passing attack was really, really lackluster. And this is a team that really just can't defend the pass at all. And you would think Jalen Hurts and that play calling would do something. I mean, you got Devontae Adams out there. I mean, Devontae Adams should be able to smoke. Or, I mean, Devontae Smith should be able to smoke. And, not Adams.
Isn't that the next team we're going to talk about?
Yeah. Should be able to smoke any single corner, any safety on that team. No disrespect to those guys on that secondary, but I mean that's just how talented he is. And they didn't. They didn't take advantage of that. And then once again, the Eagles are asked, "Why aren't you running the ball?" And I get it. You can't really run against the Bucks, but this isn't just a game against the Bucks where they don't run. They don't run the ball, period. And when you don't have a play action, Vic, like you had mentioned, you don't have a play action that really weakens your passing attack. And then I think that's what ended up happening here again with the Eagles. They didn't try to establish any sort of run game. They didn't get Miles Sanders open in the flat to make any sort of plays. And then they just went, 12 for 26 for 115 yards, and you have a rookie quarterback who shows a lot of flash and has a pretty good arm, and they got, pretty decent sets of receivers, and they're not making any plays.
Well,
but
and then
anyway,
also to add to your point, Sammy, they went 3 for 10 on, you know my favorite stat, right? When I look at these, how did they do on third down? 3 for 10, 30% for the Eagles on third down. The Bucks had a 54% efficiency on third down. This game comes down to third downs, and if you can convert, it always does. So, the Bucks obviously had a much better percentage there. Again, almost doubling what the Eagles did there. And honestly, I see, Mike, I see your comment about Hurts being terrible. I don't think he's terrible. I don't think he's a guy. I don't think he's like a Pro Bowl or all-star quarterback or whatnot. But I think he could be a solid, like maybe a Teddy Bridgewater kind of thing. A solid guy that's kind of like a gap stop to your next quarterback, I guess.
Anyway, let's move on. Like you said, we've got a lot to talk about. Real quick, before we get into the big hitting stuff and some of the drama that happened. But the Bengals continue to roll, man. I'm going to keep bringing them up every week. 34-11 against the Detroit Lions. I know it's the Detroit Lions, but still, the Bengals are still rolling. 19 for 29, 271 yards, 3 touchdowns, and a pick. Maybe if we keep hollering about the Bengals, we'll get Joe Mixon on the show. Joe Mixon, 18 carries, 94 yards. Jamar Chase, 4 receptions, 97 yards. That Bengals front seven struggling in the pass rush, which is really, really sketchy to think about considering, the Lions pretty much had to, throw the ball for most of the game. It's clear that their true strength is in coverage, which is something you touched on preseason. So, kudos to you. And the linebackers and secondary were tremendous in coverage despite a full passing attack by the Lions. Granted, it's like a weak passing attack, but still, they had to throw the ball
42 times.
Yeah,
and they still only for 202 yards. Way to go, Jared Goff.
Yeah.
So you look at Joe Burrow. 19 of 29, 271 yards. Only got sacked twice behind that bad line because we all know that they have a bad offensive line, right? They still had 115 QB rating, but man, this offense is good. Joe Mixon was on all cylinders there. He actually led the team in receiving targets and receptions as well, with 5 receptions for 59 yards. But of course, the big story here, Jamar Chase, another big game, 16.2 yards per target. That's 24.2 yards per reception. This guy is big play all over him. Jamar Chase and Joe Burrow have to be one of the top 2 duos in the league right now in terms of quarterback and wide receiver. And even if you look down the line here, so let's look at the receiving core. It's pretty impressive. CJ Azuma, had a great game as well. T. Higgins, he's always out there. Tyler Boyd, although didn't do anything this game, he's still a speedster out there, and probably better than any of the Patriots wide receivers. Let's be honest. I love this team still. Granted, I know they blew out the Lions, but it's this is what they're supposed to do. If they're a good team, they're supposed to blow out bad teams, and that's what they did.
They did. But all right, speaking of quarterback wide receiver tandems, Clark, do you want to intro this next topic we wanted to touch on? The Aaron Rodgers situation against the Chicago Bears.
Absolutely. Let me tell you, this guy is possessed. Aaron Rodgers has lost his fucking mind, pardon the expression, and he is on a mission, bro. This guy is playing like he's retiring this year, and he's going into the sunset. This guy does not give a shiz. Starting off with all the people were talking so much smack about him. They were saying he's done. It's a wrap. I think you said it too, Vic, that he just doesn't care. He's waiting for next season. But let me tell you something. This showed something. Let me tell you, this guy, he's not right, man. There's something not right now. There's something in there that we haven't seen, I don't think, in his whole career. He has never acted out of line like that. And I'm telling you, this shows me this man is on a mission, and it might even be a kamikaze mission. But the guy is still. Here's my prediction: he's either going to get injured, or he's going to go and win it He's going to go to the Super Bowl. Those are my two bold predictions. Bold predictions.
That's a bold prediction, but I'll be honest. So I don't know if his mission is to pass for 200 yards every game, then he certainly is doing that. Aaron Rodgers has not impressed me at all this season in terms of his ability because he has so much more to give. He only threw the ball 23 times in this game. And let's be honest, guys, we're still talking about the Chicago Bears here, right? We're not talking about, the elite. They didn't beat the Rams. They didn't beat the Bucks. They didn't beat the Cowboys, okay? So let's settle down there. But an interesting stat that I do want to bring up, 5-1 against the spread are these Packers of Green Bay.
And 5-1, period.
I know, but more importantly, against the spread. Who cares what their actual record is, right? No, I'm with you, Sammy. So they're 5-1 normally, and they're also 5-1 against the spread. So there's two NFC teams here that are, you want to look for on Sundays if you're making, wagers with dollars. You want to look at the
beads.
Yeah, beads maybe. You want to look at the Green Bay Packers, and you want to look at the Dallas Cowboys. That is the only thing I have to give to this. Sammy, I will let you.
I mean, not much to see here. I think Clark touched on it. Aaron Rodgers just really, really efficient. 17 for 23, 73 pass percentage, and I think his QBR was like 130 something. Didn't really have to pass for much. He also ran one in. That's when I think he did his "I own you" type shit. And I mean, I'm sure when he was being in Chicago, he was probably getting his fair share of boos. People saying he's overrated, and and they didn't really have to pass the ball. I mean, and I know he only threw for 200 yards, 2 touchdowns. But, I mean, they ran the ball, let me count it, 31 times for over 200 yards almost. And they didn't really need to pass much. So, I mean, 380 total yards of offense. And I thought they did good. 5-1. They stuck to the game plan. I mean, granted, looking back at it, they were down 7-0 in the first quarter. So, I mean, I don't know why he was really cheering.
So let me ask you, Sammy. Arctic JC says Green Bay isn't beating Tampa. Now, is the road to the Super Bowl, does it have to pass through Tampa? If Tampa's obviously where we feel like it's going to be, is it going to be a sequel to last year? Is that the case? Or is there a possibility without, having to meet Tampa?
I think for all intents and purposes, yes, the path obviously has to go through Tampa. Tampa's going to be there. Tampa's going to be in the divisional games, probably get a first round bye. But I really think the road to the Super Bowl goes through the Rams. That's just my opinion. I think the road to the Super Bowl goes to the Rams. Goes through the Rams.
There's so many good teams in this NFC. I don't see just winning a playoff game, to be honest with you. There's so many good teams. And let's not to mention, let's go back to the NFC West again, and let's look. They still have
Cardinals.
What's that?
The Cardinals,
who are the only undefeated team left in football. Guys, come on. I mean, it's not like they destroyed Cleveland, okay? And that was another one of my season calls that everybody
was
crazy. I said Arizona could win the division. That was right. Can. Let's see what happens when they start playing the big boys. But if you think that the Buccaneers are the only competition here, I don't think. The Packers are not as good as their record says, in my opinion.
Right.
I do think they're a playoff team.
Well, when you say,
I think Devontae Adams would smoke that second.
But right back at you, right? Turnaround's fair play. Kyler Murray would smoke the Packers easily.
Oh yeah, no, I'm talking about the Bucks. That's I wasn't really talking about the Cardinals. Yeah, if the Packers and the Bucks rematched, I mean,
absolutely.
Can I ask you guys' opinion on something? We kind of broached a little bit about it a couple of times, but the LA Rams get obviously inheriting from Detroit. Goff went to Detroit, and what's the long time Matthew Stafford goes to, so obviously now who's winning? Who wins that deal there? I mean, obviously it looks like Goff is just going to go into oblivion. Is it too soon to write off Goff as a what's the Houston guy that paid over $100 million and he ended up getting traded like the second year? What was that kid's name that what I'm talking about? He went to Denver and then he went to all these other places. He started at Houston, QB, $100 million, like not even a few years ago. God, what is he? See, we forgot all about him. But he was like, yes.
Osweiler? He got $100 million though.
I thought he paid.
Brock Osweiler.
I think he got a good deal. I don't know if he got $100 million, but
he got a good amount of money though.
Brock Osweiler started a game.
Right, but he lost a lot. They lost a lot of money out of that deal. That's for sure.
There's lost money being. I mean, yeah. Look at Blaine Gabbert. He's still making money. So, but I'm with you, Sammy. It's so much to digest here. I love this football season, but Sammy, we got to talk baseball. We got over-unders coming up. We got to get cooking.
Okay. All right, yeah, real quick. Obviously, the other team that you and I were pretty high on, the Chargers, they lost a tough one in Baltimore. Ravens pressured a lot. Herbert was under duress for 33% of his dropbacks, almost as bad as Mac Jones. And the Chargers just couldn't stop the run, even though that's all the Ravens can do, and they couldn't. Vic, are you concerned with the Chargers?
No.
Yeah, neither am I. What about you, Clark? Did you watch see anything on the Chargers Ravens game?
The Ravens, I think, are a good team. But the Chargers, I could give a rat's ass, to be honest with you.
All right, real quick, last touch on football since we got the game in under an hour away. Bills-Titans game tonight, Monday Night Football. Vic's favorite team, the Buffalo Bills, and his favorite quarterback, Josh Allen. The spread is the Bills -6. Vic, what do you think of this game?
I might jump on the Bills there. I mean, the Titans suck. So I'm going to... Give me a second here.
Clark, what about you?
I think the Bills. I think the Bills all the way. I think the Bills all the way. Yeah. Also, too, a couple of people asked me if you guys were going to touch on the fact that John Gruden was removed from the Ring of Honor, and what do you guys take on the email gate?
Oh, I don't do politics on this pod. I'll let Sammy cut.
It's not politics. It's just I mean, it is what it is, right?
It is. It's so unfortunate that he was removed from all of that. Obviously, what he said is really, really stupid. And I think that was just a cover face. I mean, we live in this climate now where, it's very sensitive when you say things like that. And, you got to be real.
Don't get canceled.
I'm not. I'm saying you just got to be really careful what you say.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I think everybody is entitled to an opinion on it. I think, the concern I have is that it wasn't just across a race. It was across, gender as far as women in football. And it was other things as well, as we all know, the big F word to, what's his name, Goodell, right? And I think that's what did him in, if you want to know the truth. I think that's what did him in. Yeah, all of it. But here's what I think. And I think more of this comes out. More emails come out, and more kings fall. I think that's what's going to happen from this, because people want blood now. People want blood because the sharks are circling, and they're like, well, if one goes down, everyone should start going down. So it'll be interesting to see how that goes. But I won't take up too time. I know you guys have a lot on the plate, but I did want to bring that up because folks wanted your opinion on it.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's funny that the whole situation was started because of an investigation into Dan Schneider, and he's still sitting on his throne, and everybody else is following all around him. Of course, there's obviously way more, involved in those emails and all the, correspondences and stuff like that. So we'll see as things develop more. But yeah, Gruden ended up being one of the first people to fall. Adam Schefter, I think, got exposed as well. A couple other people, but
I'll tell you what. While we're waiting for Vic to go to handle his off camera assignment, but you got to think that what's his name has got to be breathing a sigh of relief that all the attention that was on him, the Jacksonville Jaguars coach, is, you know what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah.
What the son,
Yeah.
right?
Oh,
You
Urban
got to
Meyer.
think that guy's thinking, oh man, I'm so glad that happened because
Yeah, he did dodge a bullet. He dodged a huge bullet there because in the same
all
week,
that stuff
all
happened.
this stuff on the
But yeah, definitely
So,
unfortunate when personal things come out. I think the biggest takeaway from this is that things that you say will come back to haunt you. So you have to be
100%.
very careful about what you say in life. You know what I mean? So now,
especially when you're a person and
Absolutely.
a celebrity of that type of magnitude, you got to
yeah,
be
you
even more
absolutely
careful.
have to.
You
Yeah.
know, you got to be
Yeah,
even way more
absolutely.
careful. What was it? Hey, Vic, what was it that the famous Herm Edwards said?
Play
You gotta have
the
a
game.
guy. Oh, that one too. Yeah. You
Let's
also
just-
got to have a fall guy.
Yeah,
You know.
I know.
But anyway,
Yes.
I don't want to
No,
get
no.
too much into politics. That all sucks. I mean, what he said was really stupid. He's getting removed from pretty
Right.
much everywhere. It's really unfortunate. 'Cause, his successes were, really great. But I mean, when you do stupid
Right.
shit outside,
But
that,
I mean,
shows
right.
true character.
Imagine though this, and I'll leave this. I won't say anymore. But imagine a player in the magnitude of a Tom Brady, of a scandal being unleashed there. What do they do then? Do they erase all of history? And I'm not saying Tom Brady. I'm just saying though, if we were talking about a hypothesis, what you said?
I'm gonna leave it on this, and this might get me canceled. Vic, I'm sorry if I get canceled.
I
But
can't
the
do this
same
show
team that
without you.
removed John Gruden from the Ring of Honor also has Antonio Brown on their roster. That's all I'm gonna say.
Yeah.
Also, I will say they also
anyway.
have in the Ring of Honor a terrible role model and a terrible person, Warren Sapp, and I speak firsthand from experiences on that. I also want to tell you guys I've met Bill Belichick. That's a whole other story I'll have to tell you. I just remembered it right now that I've been wanting to tell you that story.
just
and
remember
how,
this.
And I know you know what it is.
I've known this
I know,
for
and,
long.
I'm sorry, I'm derailing this show because I've been wanting to tell you guys this for the longest time. I was a security person on the Hilton on Boy Scout Road near the airport. And he came down, and I got to tell you, Drew Bledsoe was the quarterback. Okay, there's a whole story in it, but it involves Drew Bledsoe and it involves Tom Brady. So I'll have to tell you the story another time because it's a very long thing. But basically, we had a conversation when he went to go running in the morning. I'll let you know how that goes. And I completely forgot, but I wanted to tell you that. It's another.
pod. We'll save
We
that one
literally
next
talk about the Patriots every week.
I know you do, and
time
it's crazy because I met a lot of people back then, and there's so many stories with Dan Marino and the Giants and the Twins and of the Giants twin and what was it those two twins I'm thinking of, right? Bucks twin, yes,
Yeah,
Barbara,
Barbara.
Warren Sapp. There's a lot of stories there, but I'll leave it.
And is it Marion
Yeah,
Barber?
there's a whole story. There's a whole story there, but
My
the
Barbara down
Bill
the street.
But the Bill Belichick story is a very interesting one. We'll have to talk about it later.
Sure, absolutely. Look forward to it,
All right.
Clark. Thanks for joining us.
Yes.
All right. So getting into some serious MLB playoffs, Vic. The Red Sox overcame the Rays in a crazy Game 4 to win the ALDS on a Kike Hernandez sac fly in the bottom of the ninth to seal a home win for them, and pretty much canceling their flights to Tampa, as they wrote on their on the whiteboard, canceling the flights to Tampa. This team continues to hit, Vic. Vic, are you eating a little bit of crow now?
Yeah, I mean, you called it in the MLB preview. Oh, sorry, I have like a fly flying around or some shit. It's like a mosquito. So you called it early in the season, not early in the season. You called it an opening day, our opening day podcast. My guy Sammy, with our guest at the time, TK, both said that they liked the over on the Red Sox. But even throughout that, you had been their champions all along, saying that how they could make a playoff run, and they have indeed. They tied the series, and honestly, let's be completely honest here, guys. They should have won both games. They should have won both games. They should have won the last game. There was a poor decision by Alex Cora, which, in my opinion, he does a little bit too frequently by bringing in the wrong reliever. Like this time, he brought the game one. He brought in Sawamura who I don't think he's pitched. He didn't pitch in the playoffs. Yeah,
been a while.
I don't understand why you do that there, especially when you had Whitlock not even warming in the pen, and then also I would have preferred Brazier, but so they bring in Sauer Morin. Essentially, they lose the game. They could have won it had they picked the right reliever. Kike comes in, hits a home run in the ninth, like Kike does. And just can we talk about Kike Hernandez this postseason? It's just been an absolute pleasure to watch at the plate and in the field. I mean, this is. I don't remember Red Sox. This is like circa David Ortiz. In terms of hitting, but in terms of the field, I don't remember a guy doing this 2 ways. Like this. So hopefully he continues that tonight. I don't want to dwell on it because we got 17 plus minutes left, and I don't want to dwell on it too much. And I want you to talk about the Sox, but I'm so happy right now. I'm so happy. I'm on cloud nine. I love watching the Sox in the postseason. Even watching Veritek on the bench as a coach, just brings back memories. 06 team, bringing home those championships. So I'm just nostalgic, man. I love it.
Yeah, I mean, the team continues to hit. I think something that, needs to be said too with the ALDS, as well as probably going forward into this ALCS, is how can Pivetta have been like huge out of the pen, eating up innings, and that's such a luxury that we have, luckily, that a lot of other teams don't really have. Granted, some of our back end pen help is not so great, very shaky. We don't trust probably any of them except Whitlock or sometimes Barnes. But yeah, to your point, Kike Hernandez continues to crush it this postseason. In 32 at bats, he's got a 500 average, 5 home runs, 1.094 slugging, and a 1.61 OPS. Like, Jesus Christ, man, this guy is like really good, is doing some crazy things, and not to mention, like you said, hits a home run. But I think in the play before, he stopped 2 runs from scoring. So I mean, he was like a +3 on that, like altogether, and a play that was almost back to back. Granted, we're getting lucky that Eovaldi has been our ace and not so much Sale. We've yet to see a strong Sale, and that's really been depressing for me, honestly.
How about you eat crow on that, huh?
I am going to eat crow on that. Chris Sale looked very good in his first 3 to 4 outings when he came back from Tommy John, but since then just hasn't been as good. And I think when you get put into these higher leverage situations, it's a little bit, and that's where I'm going to eat my crow. It's a little tougher than just being thrown out there opening day and kind of finding your groove throughout the season. It's like you're thrown in and you're like, no, you got to go back to being the number 1 guy now.
He really did, though. I mean,
and he was okay against some bad talent, but as soon as these big guys come up to plate,
we got stuff to talk about. So yeah, no, I'm with you.
I mean, but it's tough. But yeah, game 2 of the ALCS, Red Sox hit 2 grand slams in the first 2 innings. It's the first time in postseason history that a team, in history, that team hits 2 grand slams in a single game, let alone in the first 2 innings. So I thought that was pretty significant. Absolutely. And then real quick, game 3 is tonight, 8 o'clock. Obviously, we're trying to speed this up so that we can go and watch that. We got Victor's favorite pitcher, Eduardo Rodriguez, versus Jose Urquidy. And I think the big question we're going to get is what E-Rod are we getting tonight? From September to October in 6 starts, he's got a 3.19 ERA, 10.2 Ks per 9, and to Vic's point that he always mentions to me constantly, a 1.387 whip. So, yeah, likes to walk, likes to hit. Yeah. I think to his point, I'm not trying to – I'm done, like, what's it called, apologizing for him. I think he just needs to figure out what type of pitcher he wants to be, because he can't decide if he wants to be a strikeout pitcher or a contact pitcher. He's going in between, and that's where he's getting in a lot of trouble.
Sure.
So that's my opinion. That's my last take on E-Rod ever, most likely.
Tell me about the opposing pitcher. Tell me about this guy for Houston.
Yeah, Jose Urquidy, 4-1 in his last 5 outings. His last outing was on October 3rd. I think some people were mentioning that he didn't pitch in September, but that's false. He pitched it in early October. He's 8-3 on the season, 3.62 ERA, and then something significant to mention is he has a 3.86 away ERA. And then in his last 5 outings, he's got a 4.62 ERA combined in those 5 games. So I mean, he had a really great April, May, and then from August to October, he's been a little shaky. But he's also a rookie. Pretty good one at that as well. So I think I think we got a real good chance here. I think if we get a pretty steady Erod, 3 earned runs, I think we got a good chance here.
So let me ask you this: was this guy a top prospect coming up, or did he just kind of come out of nowhere?
I believe he was a top prospect.
Okay.
Yes.
Interesting. Okay. Yeah. What's your final score tonight?
I got 7-3 Red Sox.
I was gonna say 8-5 Red Sox. Love it.
Okay.
Go Sox.
What about you, Clark? Will you be watching the game tonight? Will you be making fun of us?
To be honest with you, I have to say, if you go back in the archives from earlier this year, I mean, you boldly stated that they would have a winning, so you did say that. We could always go back and replay it. And, so you did say that, and you kept on saying it too. So, I think if I was a betting man back then, I definitely should have taken you up on that because I probably would have been, good. But you definitely did say it. You stood loyal. You brought up some great facts as to why you felt that they would make it, strong. And look, it's come to play. I guess now it would be the storybook, wedding. I mean, the storybook ending.
Well, I mean, this is the team of destiny because, I mean, the things that have happened to this team, the way they've scored runs, the way they've competed, I mean, this just feels as team of destiny written all over it. The fact that the Braves have taken 2 games on the Dodgers has made me feel a little bit better. I think this is a team of destiny. I think Mike is smoking some reefer if he thinks 11-2. Houston's
I can't stand Houston, so I'm betting on Boston. Listen, I'm from New York. I never said I was a Yankee fan. I'm a Mets fan. I know, but I will say that every time I visited Boston, and I visit Boston twice, actually 3 times, and the people are beautiful, they're nice, and the city's great. So you know what? We could do far worse, like Houston. So I'll back Boston on this one.
Heck yeah! All right, so that was your little bit of MLB postseason coverage. As Vic mentioned, the Braves are up 2-0 on the Dodgers. Great game last night, bottom of the 9th. It was fun to watch. I was watching a little bit of that game instead of Sunday Night Football. But anyway, now that we have a third sport coming into the picture this Wednesday, we'll be doing some more NBA coverage coming up. We'll probably do a bigger preview show next week. But today, Vic and I really wanted to hammer down some of the over-under win totals for this upcoming NBA season. Of course, we're going to get into some of the additions, some things that we think some of these teams are going to do. Probably touch on, 5 to 6 teams that we love next week. But this week, we're just want to touch on some of these over-unders so we can at least have these in the archive so that later we can go and touch on to see where we hit or where we didn't. But Vic, do you want to start off?
I'll go first. I'll go first. And let's,
okay.
Yeah, so let's just do the one that we both know that we have, the Boston Celtics.
Okay.
So I'm sure you have them. I know I have them. So the Boston Celtics on my chart, let me see if you have the same one. So I got them at 46.5 over under. Is that you have the same? Okay, perfect. Do you have the over or the under? I also have the over. And
let's go. We did not talk. This is the one thing. I love this segment. We were like, all right, let's not talk about this. This is going to be a surprise.
So this is a surprise completely to each other. So we both have the Celtics over 47.5. I think this team got better because of addition, because of subtraction. If you look at their offseason acquisitions, they signed Enes Kanter in free agency, Dennis Schroeder, which has been huge this preseason. I don't know if you guys are watching Schroeder, but he has been incredible this preseason. They also traded for Al Horford, Josh Richardson, Bruno Fernando, and my favorite pickup of the offseason, Juancho Hernangomez. Okay? So they lost Kemba Walker, Tristan Thompson, Carson Edwards. Carson Edwards wasn't even in the rotation. I'm not worried about him. Evan Fournier came in, let's be honest, sucked. Not his fault. He had COVID immediately when he came in. Really good groove in with the Celtics. Lost Semi Ojeleye to the Milwaukee Bucks, and my dear and fan. So we lost there. We also lost Chris Dunn, but he never really played a game. Let's look at the additions here. So we added Enes Kanter back. Great locker room guy. Great offensive post player. Not really going to do much for us on the defensive end, but we don't really need him there. We need him there for that big man offense and that depth. We got Dennis Schroeder. I've already spoken about how I think what he can do this season for us. Al Horford coming back is huge for this team. He's going to give this team depth at that big man position, but not only that, spacing, floor spacing, a big that can actually hit a three. And then if we want to look historically here, the last time, other than last year, that the Celtics did not have at least 47 wins was the 2014-2015 season. I think this team with Ime is going to be incredible, and I think that they are going to surprise a lot of people. I actually have them up around 50 wins this season. I got the over. Sammy?
Yep, I'm going to reflect everything you said. I love the additions they made. They added much depth at the two-way guard position. We know that was kind of a constant struggle, finding scoring, finding defending perimeter players. I think Jay Rich, I know I was big on Jason Richardson last year because I was, all in on the Mavericks. I think him coming back, his knowledge of kind of the East a little bit more. I don't like to say things like that, but I mean, he's going to have a more integral role to what he's more conducive to doing. He's going to be a much more needed shooting presence, and I think if we just rely on him for shooting and defense, I thought he lost that role. Like you mentioned, in one of our pods previously, he lost that role when he did go to Dallas. And I think if he can continue to have that type of role like he had in Miami, and he was so, crucial to that Miami team, I think it's going to be great. I mentioned this here, and I'm glad that you touched on it. I said, to me, Schroeder is the wild card. I think if he buys in and plays cohesive with this unit, look out. Like, this team's going to be ridiculously good. Horford, great depth piece. Obviously, he's not going to play like a ton of minutes, but I think he's going to have significant minutes. And obviously, everybody knows how much of a veteran leader he is on this team, how much he loves this team, and how great he is to these young guys. Like, they love him. Like, Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, they love him. So I think that veteran leadership is huge. And I think, to your point, Ime Udoka and Horford are going to bring a new culture to this team that we lost probably for the last 2-3 years, trying to find, just some sort of superstar when we technically already had two homegrown superstars that we already had. So, they're bringing a new culture. I think this team's at.
And I just want to say, shout out to Arctic JC for pointing out. I've been saying this for years. That Mickey Mouse finals between the Heat and Lakers, Mickey Mouse shit. That doesn't count, okay? That finals does not count. Fans there, it does not count. But the Celtics.
All right, go to the second.
Everything that you said, though, Sammy, it just hammers home the point that this Celtics team is going to be over 47 wins. I mean, look at the team. Like, it's just history is there that wasn't there last year, right? You feel like, I know you're a Heat fan. I'm just giving you a guff. All right, but you feel the love there. You feel like this team actually genuinely likes each other. I know Al Horford and I know Jaylen Brown and I know Jason Tatum get along, and I know Marcus Smart's there. He's kind of like a pain in the ass. But to your point about Jay Rich, we know he can still play defense, right? He played defense in Dallas just fine. It's his three-point shot that we're worried about. If he doesn't shoot another three-pointer for the rest of his life, that's fine, as long as he can guard his position, which we can see that he does. So if he can guard there, and then maybe Schroeder or Smart is leading the second, I'm not one of them going to be. One of them can become coming off the bench. And then the growth we've seen from Neesmith, Langford in this offseason as well, both in the summer league and in preseason, they've had leaps and bounds as well. Not to mention Robert Williams' new deal. There's a lot of pieces here that can take the Celtics over the edge. And God, I love this Celtics team. I think this is going to be a great year for us.
Me too. So you want me to do the second one?
No, it's your turn. Yeah. So Celtics both agree on over.
Okay, so I got, and tell me if you have this one too, the Chicago Bulls, 42.5. Did you pick the Bulls on yours?
I don't have them as one of my locks, but I want to know where you're going to go with this.
I'm taking the over. They won 31 games last year, acquired Vucevic real mid to late season by trade, then added DeRozan and Lonzo Ball in the offseason. I thought those are really, really good acquisitions, and I think this team is really structured really well. I think those two plus Alonzo is enough for at least 12 wins. You know what I mean? Like Vooch, Lonzo Ball, DeMar DeRozan. Obviously, you still have Zach LaVine there. My only concern would be the depth, because I think losing Kobe White with the injury. That's going to be a little tough for them at that point guard position. But he does come back in about a month. So, I mean, if they can stay afloat, which I think with this depth of talent, they definitely can. But, yeah, I think those guys, adding those guys, depth pieces that they are, added those stars to this team is more than enough for at least 11, 12 games for them to go over the 42 and a half.
I have the under here. I think they're going to be one of the most disappointing teams of the season. I hate that they gave up on Lauri Markkanen so early. You know how I love big I love these bigs that can shoot, man, and he can really shoot. And I wish they would have just given him a chance.
But Vooch is your boy, though.
I love Vooch, and I've always loved Vooch. Way back in the day, even when he was on the Magic, I used to tell you, this guy's good, man. He's going to be great. And finally got an All-Star game. But I don't like DeMar DeRozan, and I don't like Lonzo Ball as a primary scorer. I like him more off the ball, catch and shoot guy, right? So for me, I understand that they have Levine there, who's going to be the primary scorer. DeMar DeRozan, who can shoot a three to save his life. They got Vooch there. But, I feel like there's too many pieces here moving around. I don't like them to hit the over here. And I worry about their depth beyond these guys, right? They lost Satoransky. They lost Garrett Temple. They lost Tice, who people make fun of me for, especially A-Rod there on the Fairweather podcast. But Tice is a good backup center. They lost Thaddeus Young, Al-Farouq Aminu, and like I already said, Lauri Markkanen. This team is not deep. This is a tiny-ass bench. So I like them for the under. I think they're still going to make the playoffs in the East, but I wouldn't touch the under. I wouldn't touch the over there, in my opinion.
I'm taking the over. Well, go ahead. You go your third one.
Third one.
Sorry.
And this might be
No, second one.
No, my second. I'm sorry. My second one. This might be a shocker, but it's Orlando Magic.
I got the same one. Hopefully, we got the same one.
I have. So let me make sure we have the same over under here. I got them at 22.5.
Yep.
Okay. So I have the over here on the Orlando Magic.
Let's go.
Okay, so historically, a team has not lost under 22 wins in consecutive seasons since the shitty Philadelphia 76ers back in the day when they were tanking every season. So they lost. Haven't won less than 21 games in consecutive seasons since the Philadelphia 76ers. And the Magic won 21 games last year. This team is gonna get better. Their best top scorer last year before leaving was Vucevic. And if you look at the stats down the table here, just pulling together scrubs. I mean, although Vucevic did play 44 games for them, he averaged 20 and. Right behind him, Evan Fournier, who got traded. I think Terrence Ross gets traded during the season. So basically, they lost their four top scorers last season. Gordon, Fournier, Vucevic, and Terrence Ross, I think, will be traded at the deadline this year. Okay? But Cole Anthony's there. Fultz is there. Wendell Carter Jr. is there. R.J. Hampton is there, who people forget came with the Aaron Gordon trade. Mo Wagner's there, and they're going to be adding his brother, right, from Michigan. And then on top of that, they also added significant pieces when it comes to through the draft. Our guy, actually, Sammy, Jalen Suggs. I mean, Jalen Suggs, Franz Wagner, and Robin Lopez. Go ahead. I'll let you cook on the Magic.
Yeah, no, I'm hammering the over as well. This team, like you mentioned, won 21 games last season, a shortened season before they ended up cleaning house. So granted, Vucevic left but after the trade, somebody significant, my friend pointed out to me, my friend Jack, they went 6-22 after the Vucevic trade. So that's an 18-game win pace without Vucevic. Now, 18 games without Vucevic, and obviously without a lot of the pieces that you have just mentioned, without Wendell Carter, he was in it, R.J. Hampton. But now they have a solid Jalen Suggs. They got Jamal Mosley as the head coach, who I think is going to be a pretty good head coach, and a more experienced Cole Anthony. Mm-hmm. I think that's enough for 5 games. Personally, I don't think they're going to win a lot of games, right? But I mean, I think 23 wins is definitely a guarantee, at least in my opinion.
I'm sorry,
Clark.
So I'm sorry. Let me just jump in here, Clark. I apologize because Mike brought up a great point. Mo Bamba. How many times have I told you I still love Mo Bamba? And I still think Mo Bamba is going to be one of the best centers in the NBA. Eventually, let Mo Bamba cook, man. Let Mo Bamba be out there. Let Mo Bamba play, man. Give him some damn minutes. That's why you drafted him. So I love a lineup with Suggs, Wagner, and Bamba in it. Because you have Wagner kind of spraying the floor a little bit. Suggs can do his thing, but then you also have Bamba there for the defense. I think he's going to be one of the, and let me rephrase, I think he's going to be one of the best defensive centers in the league, a la Rudy Gobert.
All right. Clark, what do you think about the Orlando Magic? I know you've been a little bit quiet here. Sorry,
listen.
Over the NBA.
This is your guys' rodeo. I'm merely here for the ride. I do not follow, nor do I like NBA at all. So let me keep it 110%. Keep it moving. I'm good.
All right. Okay. So you did. Okay, so you had the Celtics and the Magic. I had the Celtics, Bulls, and Magic, so we overlapped there. So my third, and then one of our boys from – okay, anyway, my third is the Philadelphia 76ers.
I hope you have what I think you have. What do you have here?
Yeah, so their over-under is 50.5. Did you pick them as your lock?
Now.
Okay. Their over-under is 50.5. And our boy KK from the Fairweather podcast can be really mad at me, but I say you hammer that under there. Like, Ben Simmons is really shaking this team up a bit. Obviously, he showed up to practice today, like you mentioned. And whoever they end up trading for, if they do end up trading him, is probably going to be a much better player. I just don't think that they have the firepower and the consistency over a full season to win more than 51 games. 51 games is a lot of games. And that's a lot of games for a guy named Joel Embiid, who has historically shown us that he can't and shouldn't play for that long. Granted, he made me eat a little bit of crow last season, but that was a little bit of a shortened season, a little bit easier because of COVID and all that stuff. But I think with 5 starters and 4 bench players, it's super important to have that cohesion. I think if you shake things up with the Ben Simmons situation, I don't really trust that team to have cohesion. I think it's still a talented team. I think they're going to be a playoff team, but I don't think they're going to win more than 50 games.
So, to your point, Sammy, the most games that Joel Embiid has played in a season has been 51. So, I'm sorry. It was 64, and it was his third year in the league. So he's never played a full season. Okay, and without Simmons, so you're asking is Joel Embiid and Tobias Harris good enough to be a 50-win team in this league? I tend to agree with you. I wouldn't take it as a lock for me, but I agree with you. Let's look at their key departures here. They lost Dwight Howard, who I know people make fun of, but was a great backup center. He's definitely an upgrade over Andre Drummond, who they added now. Good thing they added Danny Green. I think they needed him. They also re-signed Korkmaz and George Niang, who gives a shit? But they did lose George Hill. They drafted Jaden Springer, 28th overall. Not gonna really make a difference there. I'm with you. I got the under at 50.5 for sure.
All right. Your next one?
Ooh, okay. So my next one is actually going to be an order I want to go in because I kind of want to shock you. Actually, the next one I'm going to do is going to be an over. Okay, guys. And this is going to shock a few people. The New York Knickerbockers. I have the over.
Good one.
Okay, and let me just make sure. So the over-under I have here is, let me scroll down to them, 41.5. I have them over 41.5. So I have them around 43 wins for me. And if we want to take a look at the offseason here, they added our friend Kemba Walker, who I think is going to be a great fit there. Through free agency, they added Alec Burks, right? They added Nerlens Noel, who I think is a good player to defend the rim for you for those nights that where Mitchell Robinson's out, possibly. They added Evan Fournier, Derrick Rose resigned there, Todd Gibson, and I already mentioned Kemba. They drafted Quentin Grimes, 25th overall. He's probably not going to see the court, but I love the Knicks this year, Sammy. Am I missing anything? Am I going crazy? If we look last year, they won 41 games. Let me ask you this. They won 41 last year. They're at 41.5 now. Is Alec Burks, Nerlens Noel, Evan Fournier, Derrick Rose, Taj Gibson, Kemba Walker worth at least 2 more wins? Absolutely.
I think so. That's a good one. That was one of my notable mentions that I was gonna do later, but you already touched on it. Yeah.
They only lost Reggie Bullock and Alfred Payton. I mean, they stayed. So let's look at it. So they traded out Reggie Bullock for Alec Burks. Great. They traded Alfred Payton for Kemba Walker. That's an upgrade. Then they have Evan Fournier, Taj Gibson. I mean, come on, dude. This is a good team.
Yeah.
I actually honestly like them for a top 4 seed this year. But let's continue.
All right, so I noticed when I was putting these together, bro, you made me do a ton of research. Granted, I have way more research to do to catch up to you, but I thought I did pretty good, all things considered, because I've been so into the MLB. But my next one, I noticed that I was going really East heavy, so I was like, you know what? I gotta switch it up. I gotta switch it. I gotta look at the West now. And this is gonna be my team, right? I mean, I know last year I was big on the Mavericks. I looked at their over/under this season, 48.5. Little too rich for my blood. Mm-hmm. Do I think Luka can win 50? I do, but I wasn't going to put it as one of my, big locks that I think is going to be over. But I'm still going to be all on Luka Doncic. But I got to do this one, man. Hopefully you have the same one. Maybe you won't. I don't know. I got the Grizzlies.
I had the Grizzlies on my honorable mentions. Where do you have them?
40. All right, so I have them at 41.5 as the over/under. Yeah. I got them as the over, baby. I got it as the over, baby. Got it, man. All right, so here's my point, too. I don't think they made a lot of free agency splash this offseason. But to the point, they played over 500 ball last year. And then is Ja Morant capable of playing over 500 ball again? I will 100% take that. I think he definitely can. That team won 38 games last season in a shortened season. You're telling me that they can't win 4 of 10, if they added 10 games to the end of the season, they can't win 4 of those 10? 100% believe you can.
And I'm sorry, let me cook. This is yours. I don't want to jump in.
No, that was it. That was my point.
Yeah, that was my point. Forget of my guy, Jaren Jackson.
Yeah.
He's coming back. And I was listening to the Simmons podcast, and he was mentioning how he doesn't think that Jaren Jackson Jr. is the second best player on this team. He thinks actually Derek Brooks is. What? And I think he's crazy. I mean, I love. So we all.
I love me some Derek Brooks. I love Dylan Brooks. I'm Oregon.
Yeah, I know you're all over it, but let's be honest. So let's take a look here. So I mean, Jaren Jackson Jr., who's a guy that hasn't really played a lot in his career, right? I mean, I think he's only played a maximum of 30 games. I mean, I'm gonna stat check myself, but I think he's only played a total 30 games or so in his career. Let's see here. So I mean not total, but average. So actually, he did play 57 games his first year, and 56 in his second. So.
And his second year was his better year, right?
Yes, his second year, of course. His second year was his better year, 17.5 points, 1.6 blocks, field goal percentage of around 56%, effective field goal, and then regular field goal was around 47. But he did take more threes in his second season. He was around 40% from 3. So you got a guy that's standing, close to 7 feet, 6'9", 6'11", in that range there, and he's shooting 40% from 3. That's pretty impressive, especially when he's shooting about 6 of them per game. So they only had him for 11 games last season. He's going to be coming back this season. I think him himself is going to be a huge improvement. And if we want to look at the offseason upgrades here, I mean, the Memphis Grizzlies get one here from just having Jaren Jackson back, but they also drafted Zaire Williams, number 10 overall. They added Steven Williams, Eric Bledsoe, Sam Morrell, Jarrett Culver, guys, and Chris Dunn. Not to mention our guy Carson Edwards. They did lose Valanciunas, but like I said, Steven Adams is going to fill that role there. This team's going to be better. I mean, if you're telling me that Steven Adams, Eric Bledsoe, Jarrett Culver, Chris Dunn are not worth a few more wins, then you're crazy. And not to mention Jaren Jackson Jr. So I'm with you, Sammy. Let's take the over there. Hammer that.
All right, your next one.
So my next one here may upset you. It's the Dallas Mavericks, and I have the under. And I have the Dallas Mavericks under 50.5, I believe.
That's 48.5 is the new line.
Oh, yeah. You know what? I love 40.5, 48.5. I'll take the 48.5. But I have them under regardless. I don't think Luka's good enough to win 50 games on his own. I don't.
You're crazy.
Not right now. I think he will be. I absolutely think he will be. I think he'll
Did you
do the
see
best
their
thing.
pace? Did you see their pace after the All-Star break? We talked about it last year, and you gave
Yeah,
them
but they were also one of the
score.
worst teams in the NBA in the first half. So let's be honest, and let's see what happens with Porzingis here. They didn't really add anybody to make me feel like that they're going to be any better. In fact, they lost a lot. They lost Jay Rich. They re-signed Tim Hardaway. Whoop-de-doo. Boban's back. He didn't really play anyway. They didn't add anybody that like really throws me over the top. You know what I mean? Reggie Bullock, they got back. Sterling Brown, they got back. You really think this team's going to win 50 games with that?
No.
I think honestly, I think this
No,
is the 500.
I think the 48.5.
I think
is
this is a 50 a 500 team right here, in my opinion. And honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if we see Porzingis on the move at some point this season, and that's what scares me away. So I have them lock under Dallas Mavericks.
I think that take is equivalent to my Bulls take, so we can agree to disagree there.
Your turn.
All right, so for my last one, because we had two that were the same. So for my last one, I don't know. You might roast me here. I had the Clippers.
I didn't have the Clippers anywhere on my list, so I'll let you go ahead.
The Clippers right now 46.5.
Okay.
I thought that was a bit high considering no Kawhi for most of this year. This is a team that's going to have to try and stay afloat for most of the season. And do we think PG-13 can have an MVP? Because I think this is I'm not saying he will, but for this team to win more than maybe a little bit over 500 ball, I mean, this is saying that this team can win 47 to 48 games, and I just don't think PG-13 can will this team to 47, 48 wins, especially in the West. Like, I still think this is a playoff team. I think they'll stay afloat. But yeah, that's a team that won 47 games last year. And so this year, with no Kawhi Leonard for most of the year, I'm taking this under while it's hot.
Okay. I was looking at it and I didn't have them anywhere on my list, but if I had to say anything, I would say the under there for sure, Sammy. I'm with you there, so I'm not going to roast you on that at all. I don't like that team one bit. So for my final team is also going to be an under here and a lock. The New Orleans Pelicans lock under. I have them at 39.5. What do you have, Matt?
I have the under. All right, I had the same thing, I think. 38.5.
Yeah. So I like the under either way. This is a team that hasn't won more than 33 games in the last 3 seasons, not since 2017, 2018 when they had Anthony Davis on the team.
Sorry, Kyle.
Yeah.
And can he stay healthy? I love him. I love his development, but I just don't think he can stay healthy.
About that, they only added Jonas Valanciunas and Thomas Satoransky. in terms of like the big players they added. They lost Eric Bledsoe, they lost Steven Adams, they lost Lonzo Ball. There's no way this team goes over 39 wins.
In terms of like.
Damn, I really like that under.
They lost Eric Bledsoe.
I actually really like. Now that you convinced me, man. I'm really in on that under.
Yeah, that hammer the hell out of that under. I don't like it at all. This team sucks. Go Celts.
One that I was actually kind of interested in, and it's such a big question mark, and I don't like them. Like I'm not a fan at all, but on paper, the Miami Heat 48.5, I was very intrigued by it. Very, very intrigued by it. Now, it was too rich for my blood because that would imply that this team can win 50 games. I think on paper, the Heat can win 50 games. They were a little bit of my honorable mention, them and the Hawks. I think the Hawks are actually
I like the Hawks
extremely capable of 50 wins. They're at 46.5. That's another potential over that I would be willing to hammer.
Yep, I'm with you. All right.
And then the Trailblazers were another one that I was like super question mark on. It's 44.5. It's so enticing, but we just know the health issue.
Yeah,
you know?
No, for sure. No, you don't know what Dam's going to be like. You don't know we don't know who's going to still be there at the end of the year for the Trailblazers. They're constantly linked in the Ben Simmons trade. So yeah, I mean, I'm with you. But we have Red Sox to get to.
Okay, and that concludes our little NBA over-under preview segment. Be sure to tune in next week. We're going to get a lot more in-depth on it. Might not touch on too much NFL unless there's some crazy drama. But Clark, anything you want to add and anything you want to touch on before we close out the show?
No. Thanks for having me. If I would have known you were going to talk NBA at the end, I would have put my press shot in there and I would have went behind the scenes. No. Great show as usual. Stats are great. If I knew a lot about NBA, I would definitely be rooting for some of your picks here, but I just never could really get into NBA. NHL, yeah, I am. Man. This is true. This is true. This is true.
We got you.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's some of the, I'm intrigued. But I will say just a few things. One, there's been some questions if you guys are going to cover NHL since NHL has just begun. I know we talked about it last year. Will you guys be doing it this year?
Mm-hmm. I think I want to try and get another few segments in throughout the year. Bring Tony on.
Settles down. Yeah, I think right now it's a really hectic time for us. As you know, we're big hoops junkies here on Tiny Sports.
Of course.
Basketball comes first, but once we get time, absolutely, we'll cover some NHL.
I think when the MLB playoffs are all over, I think we're gonna hammer in some NHL talk because I know we got a big following here. The Lightning, with the Lightning just winning the Stanley Cup and all that stuff. Granted, they're starting off a little rough right now,
awesome,
but yeah.
Man. Well, listen, the only thing I was gonna say is great show as always. I just want to point out that the House of Fandom show continues to grow in listeners and viewers. We're at 279. We're creeping there to 300. At the end of the day, it's all about we want to talk about sports fandom, Hollywood fandom, all those different things, but we got to do it to an audience. So that's why we keep saying, hey, come and join us, give us a chance. So that's one of the things I do say. We are on TikTok. I just post a bunch of movie stuff, all kinds of pop culture stuff. I know you guys are also Townie Sports on TikTok, which I have enjoyed a lot of your posts. I know it's growing and growing, so that's something hopefully we'll continue to see you do there. I know I like going down that TikTok rabbit hole, so good stuff there. This Thursday, we're back with another episode of House of Fandom. We've got so much to talk about. DC Fandom was over the weekend. Huge premieres. The Batman. I don't know if you guys saw the trailer for that, but that looks absolutely insane.
Oh, it looks so sick.
I mean, it feels like a hard R-rated film. It looks so gritty and grimy and just nasty. So so it'll be interesting to see how that goes. We'll premiere the trailer there. We do have the trailer on the House of Fandom site. We also have the trailer for the new Flash, also housed on the House of Fandom site under the title DC Fandom Trailers. That's a great one. You got Michael Keaton voiceover, and Michael Keaton. Small reveal at the end. So a lot of great stuff. If you're into pop culture and if you're into DC and Marvel, it's a great time to be a fan. Star Wars stuff is coming out. We've got the new Obi-Wan series coming out too, where Darth Vader, Hayden Christensen returns in that role as well. So a lot to talk about. But I know you guys have tons of stuff going on with Townie Sports. So I'm just going to go ahead and hand it to you guys. And once again, thank you for having me on. And, of course, look forward to having you guys on the House of Phantom on Thursdays at 8 p.m. Thank you.
Thanks, Clark.
Thank you so much, Clark, for joining us. Vic, anything
you want something I want to share. So we have a exclusive interview actually right now with a gentleman who just who actually finished gold. I got a gold medal here in a 5K this weekend. Sammy, how do you feel about yourself, sir? And can you tell me what it feels like to finish first in that 5K? What does it feel like to run with that speed, sir?
Well, just to correct you, I was just first in my age group, so 30 to 35.
That's for the age group is how they qualify people. You finished first.
Yeah. I was top 15 overall, I think, out of about 280 or 300 runners. So not too bad. Felt pretty good, honestly. I ran a 20:08 last year. This one was a 20:30, and it actually felt more comfortable than last year. So a lot of the training that I've been doing is really helping. But yeah, that's it. I mean, I'm super sore still. Like, my calves are freaking on fire. I was going to run earlier. I was like, nah, I'm just going to let my body rest.
Relax, buddy. You already took the medal. Relax.
Yeah.
Love it. Well,
Appreciate that. That was nice.
Congratulations to my co-host, Sammy. He's the athletic one. I'm the guy that just watches sports on his couch and loves it. Congrats again, buddy.
Thanks, man. Vic, you are a great goalie, so don't let anybody tell you otherwise, man. But yeah, that concludes our show. Thank you, everybody, for tuning into Townie Sports. We love you, and thank you for choosing us for your listening pleasure on all things sports. Again, this show would not be possible, as Clark mentioned. This show would not be possible without you guys tuning in every week. So please, thanks so much for listening. Like the video, and subscribe to the House of Fandom. It's simple as that. We're growing. We're getting bigger. We're touching on so many different things. We're all over different social media platforms. We're getting a lot big. So you better jump on this bandwagon before we get too big. We're not gonna be able to have you on and stuff like that. But if you're an OG, we're still gonna have you on when we get big. So yeah, like, subscribe, come comment, come chill with us every week. Don't forget, every week, every Monday, 7 p.m. Eastern time, right before Monday Night Football and right before the Red Sox win the World Series. And lastly, welcome new subscribers to the House of Fandom. We are heading towards 300, as Clark mentioned. We are your home for sports, fandom, pop culture, movies, comics, and so much more. And I know we got Arctic JC always listening in. Arctic JC, let's have you on. Let's talk about Pokemon.
Let's do it.
Get on the House of Fandom show, man.
I love Arctic JC because he's out there for us, man.
Yeah, I heard he's a huge Pokemon guy. So we love all fandom. So
Pokemon,
come on,
Clark.
let's talk.
Pokemon.
Is that what they call it? Polka dot.
Pokemon?
I'm sorry,
Pokemon.
polka dot. No, wait, you do the hokey pokey. What is it again? Pokey, right?
Pokemon.
Pokemon. Okay, mon. All right.
But yeah, be sure to check out his YouTube site. It's Arctic JC. He does a lot of those Pokemon card reveals. I know that's a big thing now. So he opens Pokemon cards and gets like really, really rare cards. He does a pretty good opening. But yeah, don't forget to check out our Instagram page at Townie_sports. And also, as Clark mentioned, our TikTok page at Townie Sports Pod. You'll find the link down below. There'll be all updates on the shows, additional sports coverage, as well as the amazing, crazy hot takes by Vic and sometimes me, but mostly Vic.
I think they're good takes.
They are. They're great takes. And again, as Clark mentioned, House of Fandom show will be live with a new episode Thursday at 8 p.m. And of course, DC Fandom news. This is going to be so big, huge show for House of Fandom. I'm really excited to tune in because I know I saw some of the trailers this weekend, so I can't wait to see what you guys think. But with that being said, I'm your host, Sammy, alongside the great Vic. We are Townie Sports. See you next week.
Thanks, guys. Take care. Go
Stay behind for a tribute to our Sammys.
Hey, Wally and Sam.
my shoes high and my jeans low. I got my socks fitted. You know how I roll. Homicidal clothes cause I'm dressed to kill. Leave 6 bitches oohing cause I'm worth a mill. Flow is ill, spitting no vomit spill. Killing them softly but I ain't Lauryn Hill. I'm a Beantown boy with a Trigger City mind state. Leaving hoes surprised like they going on a blind date. Had that ass spinning, best believe that booty gyrate. Come fresh to the game so y'all lanes better migrate. Versatile cat so I flow on the South Beat. Spit so hard I fuck around and hurt my teeth. My vision stays clear, why y'all looking cloudy? Yeah I spit fire but misses don't doubt me. Jumping hard on tracks, call me steroided rabbit. Consistently murdering beats like a serial killer's habit. Drop his flow, so I took the game and stabbed it. Copy my style, but it's too hot for you to grab. I got my shoes high and my jeans low. I got my socks fitted. You know how I roll.
This is how we roll.
I got my shoes high and my jeans low. I got my socks fitted. You know how I roll.
While it is, as I take another pull from my cohiba, overlooking green fields full of reefer. My suit say let it soul on my cufflinks. Summer look to Jay-Z and Puffy. I ain't saying that I wanna be like them. I'm getting fat stacks, why your paper so thin? Look within the eyes of a hustler. I need me a mansion so I can buy a butler. This is the classics, so put me in the classified. I mix a fire so she suck me like a pacifier. Old school Chevrolet, riding up the interstate. Bitches give me crazy, little niggas want a hard hit. Pussy niggas try me and you gon' get a scar face. Ain't no way I'm getting caught, that's gon' be a hard case. That baby girl, my 38, my trigger finger fornicate. Shoot you niggas in the face, you gon' see the pretty
I got my shoes high and my jeans low. I got my socks fitted. You know how I roll.
This is how we roll.
I got my shoes high and my jeans low. I got my socks fitted. You know how I roll.
This is how we roll.
Since a youngin', I knew I had the flow to succeed. Always kept my nose high, like trying to stop the bleed. Kept running, there was nothing in my way to impede. So ahead, it's safe to say there's no one after me. But I'm trying to rise up while you bathroom bitches sink. Hot like I'm in me, my aroma doesn't stink. Kept my eyes wide open while the blind bitches blink. Not one to have regrets, but my mind always thinks. I never gave a fuck at what them lames ever thought of me. Just kept doing what I do, cause that's just how it ought to be. Money on my mind, you can call it moneyology. You getting it out the ass, but I ain't talking side of me. Denver Bronco money, cause it just stays mile high. Whopper junior bitches, I don't beef with small fry. Little fingers on the side, cause you can't be this fly. Tell me to keep my bread up.
So I threw my money in the sky.
Sandstorm. Hey, mom. Classico, I see you. Hey, that's how we roll. Hey.
Hey, Wally and Sandstorm.
How we roll. Hey.
Yeah.
I got my shoes high and my jeans low. I got my socks fitted. You know how I roll.
This is how we roll.
I got my shoes high and my jeans low. I got my socks fitted. You know how I roll.
This is how we roll.
Homicidal clothes cause I'm dressed to kill. Leave 6 bitches oohing cause I'm worth a mill. Flow is ill, spitting no vomit spill. Killing them softly but I ain't Lauryn Hill. I'm a Beantown boy with a Trigger City mind state. Leaving hoes surprised like they going on a blind date. Had